Welcome to another episode of our Member Spotlight. So sitting next to my left is Dean, who is a co-founder of this wonderful space called FriendsQuarters. He's also had decades of experience as a financial advisor and a director in a major Canadian financial institution. So welcome. Thank you for doing the interview with me today. Would you like to give a little introduction and share a little bit more about yourself?
So my name is Dean Lariviere, and as Alice said, I'm one of the co-founders of FriendsQuarters. We are Vancouver's friendliest co-working events and media space in downtown Vancouver. And I don't have decades of experience, but I did have a decade of experience in the financial world. And for me, that career came to an end right around the time that COVID started, from a combination of me not really liking the video chat experience, and especially for meeting with clients.
The Zoom meetings, right?
The Zoom meetings. I used to think I was an introvert who had sort of like exercised the extroverted part of me into existence. Because I was always around people, but I always craved being alone. So I thought when COVID happened, I was like, great, I'm going to get some alone time. And then I realized that I'm actually an ambivert, because after a couple weeks or a month of being alone, I started going stir crazy, and I needed to be
cabin fever
around people. Exactly. And I was very fortunate at the time to be in a men's group with some guys that met every Thursday night. We used to meet in the boardroom of my office downtown, and then one of the guys, Jordan, serendipitously came upon this amazing space downtown, and just slowly over time we took that space over, and it was our private space for us and our friends. A lot of us are entrepreneurs and we're working on different things, and we would meet in there, and we would talk about business stuff, and we would and then after COVID ended, I mean, we were all deficient in fun and connection and human interaction. And so we started to, kind of bring more people around and do more things in the space, as opposed to us just hanging out there and co-working with our friends, which is how the name came about. It was the headquarters of our friends, so we called it FriendsQuarters. It was Jordan Wade's brainchild. So that was great. And we saw the need for that type of face-to-face, in-person connection,
and the community
in the community at large, right? Like we knew it wasn't just us that experienced that. We were all there.
I think it created a collective trauma on everyone.
Exactly.
And we're still feeling the reverberation. Of that.
I don't think we're through it yet. In fact, I feel like a lot of people still haven't really gotten back to their pre-COVID level of human face-to-face interaction. And I've talked to so many people since it's happened. There's people that I know that have moved to other places because they want that experience where when they walk out of their house, their neighbors say hi Dave, hi Jenny, and
the dogs can play together.
The dogs play together, the kids play together.
The kids know each other.
Shaking your fist at the kids for getting their toys on your lawn, and all of those things that we're missing, especially if you're in an urban center like Vancouver. Right. It can be very easy to just pass the same people by on the streets every day.
Right.
I actually notice how low of a percentage of people will even make eye contact with you on the street, because I'm always looking like I want to be that friendly face to people, because I want it in return.
Me too.
Right? I want to walk down the street and have people go, oh, hi, and then as you see the same person over and over again, it's kind of like, oh, I know you, even if you don't know them.
People are friendlier on trails. Like if I'm at Central Park or Deer Lake, I see, people definitely make the acknowledgement.
Right, well,
but not on the street for some reason.
Because you're both so that you have that common thing in that common experience that you're sharing together. A lot of people don't know this as well, but motorcyclists. When you're riding a motorcycle and someone's we wave at each other. It's like a little club. Right? And it's one of the reasons why I like riding a motorcycle, because it's fun. Like you feel like you're part of this club, right? You don't wave at the guys on their scooters.
That's a separate group. Okay.
But you could subdivide all of that infinitely. So that was the purpose behind FriendsQuarters. Yeah.
Okay.
And
what a beautiful origin story.
Thank you. And I think to a certain degree we've been pretty successful, but we're looking at taking things to the next level. The previous space that we had, as much as it was amazing for us and all the people that were there.
Right?
Yeah, a block and away from here. You've never been to that space.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I see pictures.
Yeah.
I met people who are like, oh, you guys throw awesome parties.
Right. And that's the thing is it really did sort of attract that party vibe. We had a lot of late night events. The building is being torn down.
Okay.
And it was no longer suitable for us to continue in there because they, the team, the management team, the property managers, would only give us a certain amount of notice before we had to be out.
Right. So is it a heritage building that was too old?
It's definitely a heritage building, but no, the plan was to redevelop that area. We knew it when we started the business that there was exactly. There was a hard line. We didn't know where that line was, but we knew it was coming in the future, and it did. So we were prepared for it.
So it was a short, sweet ride, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I think we had been in that building altogether for 4 years. So 2 years as a business.
Okay.
So it was, it wasn't that longevity like here now in our new space. We've got a 5-year lease.
Wow.
We're committed to this thing.
Yeah.
It's
so
almost.
that one was much smaller, right? This is 5,500 square feet. So this is a lot bigger, like double the size.
Yeah.
Of
the old space, not quite double. The old space was 3,700 square feet.
Okay.
But divided onto 3 floors.
Oh.
Right. So what we had is, we had the co-working was on the 3rd floor.
Okay.
And it was, it was 1,500 square feet. So it was like decently sized, but you have a couple offices and everything, and then all of a sudden you feel cramped in the co-working.
Right.
Whereas here, we probably still have around 1,500 to 2,000 square feet of co-working, but then everything else is connected together.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's
very
bigger.
roomy.
Yeah.
It's very roomy.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are very comfortable.
And with the addition of our outdoor space here, the atrium sort of right in the middle of the space, it provides lots of natural light. We've still got our signature red brick and hardwood floor vibe and all of the FriendsQuarters, kind of chic decorations and knickknacks and couches and stuff like that.
I have to say, since we've done the networking, like everyone I brought in here, whether it's on a personal level or through the events, they're just so impressed. Like they're like, the website, the pictures does not do it justice,
And that's what we hear all the time.
Wow,
right?
It really has a special, unique vibe, and people absolutely love it.
Yeah, and that's curated, right? Like we take the energy of our space very seriously to the point where we actually had energy clearing done and crystals put in different places and stuff like that. And
Himalayan salt lamp.
Yeah, and I think I told you, when we first started chatting, I was very skeptical about the whole thing. Yeah. But I remember at the old space, all of our Google reviews all said, the energy in there, the vibe. Definitely, most of them were, maybe we had 1 or 2 4-star, but like 5 stars for sure. Mm-hmm. But it was the language that they used. It was always about the energy and the vibe. And I'm like, maybe there is something to this energy clearing after all. And so when we moved into the new space, it was a no-brainer for us to bring that same energy worker in. And it's also like a ritual that helps us to kind of like let go of the old space and move fully into the new space.
Absolutely.
I have to say, since that was done, I feel different in here. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it really does raise the vibe. I think
it is so important. Vancouver has a lot of co-working space, but to me, they don't compete because it doesn't have the vibe. It's just cool. It's like going to a really simple Airbnb space, It's all IKEA furniture. I'm not saying they're IKEA furniture, but I'm just saying it has that very cold, sterile feeling.
Yeah,
Or,
we want this
you
to
know?
feel like your living room.
Yeah, like this,
Right?
you can feel the human connection. You can feel the joy that was imprinted onto the walls. You know, you could feel the music was played here and people had a good time here.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, I feel like most, co-working spaces, like we definitely do have co-working here for sure. This entire area is zoned for office space. But the amount of space that's actually dedicated to desks compared to the rest of the space is rather small, right? Because the idea is like, I can work on a chair if I like need to do some laptop work, but like FriendsQuarters is about that in-person connection. So, there's a lot of type of work that you can do, and a lot of it is very introverted and like just you and your computer screen. But what about the other parts of that? Right? When you're meeting with potential investors, when you're networking with other people in your space, or just chatting with other entrepreneurs, other business owners from completely different sectors that still have really good ideas about business and the life and how to do these things successfully. You don't want to be sitting at a desk when you do that. You want to be comfortable.
You need to be coached by a mentor or a business coach, or like you said, men's groups. All of that, right? Because I think business happens in a community. Ideas don't come just out of your head. You may be inspired or, see other development, not just from your colleagues or industry, colleagues, but maybe you're inspired by someone else from a different industry or
100%.
Just their, spirit. If you see someone super happy and energetic and they're gung-ho and they're there till 9, you're like, hey,
right, even just working beside that person.
Yeah, I'm like, what am I doing? If he's like, gung-ho and, ready, right? Like that rubs off on you. So
so essentially it was very important to us to provide that space for those sort of organic interactions to happen, as well as a place where you can work. So, we want.
I think they call it the third space, right? I think our city is so missing in that third space.
We're missing third spaces.
Like in Europe, they have these plazas, right, where there's little stalls and people go bird watching or have a cup of espresso or whatever. But you can meet people, your neighbor, and just watch the city go by. People walking their dog.
I guess in Vancouver, our third spaces are our trails. I don't know. It's restaurants, it's bars, it's coffee shops, and
there's a space in front of Vancouver Art Gallery. They have like the Japan market or festivals and
for sure.
Protests and things like that.
So again, I enjoy those spaces as well. But for me, like especially when I was working as a financial advisor, like one of the pieces of advice that I got was to have a home base, like a base of operations. So if you're going to be meeting with clients, you're going to be meeting with potential investors or whatever, go to the same spot every time. So you always take them to the same restaurant. You always take them to the same coffee shop. And I started doing this, and I really got why that was so important. Because you could walk in, you've got your potential client or whatever with you, and you walk in like, oh, hey, Dean, how's it going? Right? And you sit down. Right, and they know my order, right, and it makes them feel much more comfortable and confident in doing business with you.
Right.
And again, that takes a long time to develop, right? Whereas, being a member at a place like FriendsQuarters, right? Even if you're not co-working here, you have your own office. You could be, coming in here, and then here's this cool space that people didn't even know existed and it isn't available. Like, it's not like a Starbucks where you can just walk in. Right. So you have to be a part of this place, and so you give someone a unique experience at the same time, and maybe they end up using this space for off-site retreats for their corporate events or whatever it is.
Or annual brainstorming with their executives about the next year.
And then they're super stoked because you've introduced them to a space that they'd never heard of, or they start coming to our events, or they become a member, or you just have a really great business meeting in a place that control is, can have a negative connotation to it, but you get to control and you really understand what the space is going to be like where you're going to be having that meeting, right?
Well, I think it's absolutely essential. Like, I live in Burnaby, but I come to downtown quite often for business meetings and whatnot, and sometimes you have these gaps in between.
Exactly.
So I'm always hanging at coffee shops, but sometimes, like a Zoom meeting calls in last minute, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a screaming baby, or someone's really loud and listening to rock music behind me, and I'm trying to, create a professional image, and then someone knocks my jacket off the back of the chair. Things like that. I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah, let's just all agree that coffee shops are not great places for Zoom meetings.
No, they're not.
And again, I would prefer that everybody just started meeting in person again, but that's just a preference for me, and I understand. We've gotten used to the convenience of Zoom. We've gotten used to being able to have meetings and not leave our house.
I think people don't want to travel.
Exactly.
Right?
So I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
I think the shift is to home office, but I think everyone has social needs. Like I have a friend who's an accountant. He has a great business, but he's constantly going to meetups because he wants a social interaction.
And that's what I mean. Like those people that like love the Zoom meetings and are like, oh, this is great. I never have to leave my house. They might not vibe with a space like this. They're like, oh God, like more people. Like I don't want that. And that's okay, right? It's the person who's like at home, feeling trapped, going crazy, and just being like, I also don't really want to go to WeWork or some other place where it's just like a kind of like a stuffy corporate vibe, right? Those people tend to find us and really appreciate it because they're like, oh, like I get to get out of the house.
This is so like salt to the earth and so much of the human element. Like I said, they could be very elegant at other places, but there's like nobody. There's not even a receptionist. Like I'm like, who do I talk to? If I, like there's no sense of community. So
so that's really important for us. And
what is your vision for FriendsQuarters? Like, what do you like? Let's say 5 years into the future, where do you envision?
I envision a FriendsQuarters in every major city in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. I see our media arm of the business actively helping our members create content, producing
photos,
videos, like social media stuff, live stream, YouTube stuff, podcasts, all the different ways that people get their message out in front of their potential clients.
Nikolai's photography is so amazing. Like I have no words. I was like, wow, he's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, he's primarily our videographer. But,
he's a videographer. Oh, okay.
But he stepped into the role of photography for the last networking event, and I loved what he produced. So he's got a good eye.
Oh, very good eye.
And with the addition of media coming in, with FriendsQuarters Media, it really changes the narrative and the dynamic of the space, right?
Okay.
So to be able to have pockets inside the space where media can be produced, like even just where we're sitting right now, and we're currently in talks to get a different part of the building that we can have as a dedicated media space.
Oh wow, nice.
So that because we want the space to be full of people,
right?
And it's going to be hard to do interviews like this when there's people all over the place, right?
Okay.
So right now, when we're still in our building phase, it's fine, but we're looking for the long term, right? And that same acquisition, which we're quite positive will go through.
Nice.
Will also get us some bike storage. And things like that are really essential to making the space more manageable. We're on the second floor, and so if you have an e-bike or something like that, it's a lot to carry it up those stairs, and this space will have access from the alley.
Oh, okay.
Out
to the
back.
ground level.
Yeah, I think there's still a few stairs that you got to go once you go in, but not nearly as many as on the other side.
Okay.
So it's exciting.
You want FriendsQuarters to be a brand, like a hub, right? That provides multiple services.
Yeah, the community aspect of it is what we call the FriendsQuarters network, right? And so when people come in and they become a member of FriendsQuarters, they're joining the FriendsQuarters network. And right now there is only one location, but when we open up the second location and the third location.
To Vancouver Club or Terminal City Club? Because those are the only two other private clubs. I mean, there's also the Arbutus Club, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think in function, it's very similar to those places, but I think in design, it's probably closer to WeWork.
okay.
Because those are standalone
Private
places,
clubs,
right? So for me, what I would love is I would love to have my membership at FriendsQuarters in Vancouver get me into the FriendsQuarters in Toronto.
Oh.
Right? So now all of a sudden, I'm going to visit Toronto again.
Right.
When I land, I got to figure out like where are the coffee shops, where are the bars, yada yada. No, it's like I just go to FriendsQuarters, right?
Your friendly office.
Yeah, it's your home away from home,
Home away
right?
from home.
And you know,
Lovely.
you mentioned living in Burnaby. I mean, I lived in New West for just under 20 years, and you know, for the last 5 or so years of that, I was commuting downtown, and so I know what you're describing, right? Is this situation where you get yourself downtown, we've got 2 meetings, they're spread out by a couple hours, and like, what do I do? So first of all, I'd be taking those meetings here if I was a member of FriendsQuarters, and then for the couple hours that I'm waiting for the next, you know, I could be sitting at a desk getting some work done.
Right.
I could be interacting with the people in the office here, maybe attend an
Playing
event.
with Ozzy.
Right, playing with the office dog.
Office dog.
Maybe there's a yoga session or some sort of networking event that's going on that I could take part in.
Mindful Monday, we participated in Mindful Monday. That was amazing. A meditation in the middle of the day.
This was my second time being part of the Mindful Monday meditation, and I have to say, for like you said, in the middle of the day, to force yourself to just stop the things that you're doing and just quiet the mind for a while and just go through a process like that with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's made a difference in my week.
Right.
Right? Since I started doing it, I just feel like I'm on like an even keel as I go through my week.
Absolutely, the grounding.
Yeah, and to have that.
I find that when you're doing a lot of like brainstorming, there's some chaotic energy. You know, it's very airy, right? Whereas that really brought it down to the root chakra, which, you know, really grounds you.
Well, it's easy to be all up in here all week because, you know, you're using the logical part of your brain and kind of doing all these like to-do list things, and it's like, how are we incorporating the rest of us into that, right? So yeah, I love what you're saying. It's just grounding at a point in the day where you're probably starting to be low energy anyway, so it kind of kicks off the rest of the afternoon.
I felt like it really centered everyone.
Yeah, I didn't have that afternoon low that I usually do afterwards, so
absolutely,
yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah, and
shameless promotion.
And we got yoga, we got lots of stuff happening.
Yeah, and
conscious
so
dance events and all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah, just to really plug, you know, what it is that we're actually doing at FriendsQuarters is that's the idea is having a member space where people can come, make use of the space, you know, do some co-working if that's what they need, attend some of our programming, right? Have the fun stuff that you want to do, be connected with the place that you're going to be at anyways, and to make this available for people to host, you know, their own events with, you know, friends, meeting up before we go to things downtown.
What kind of things have happened here? Because I've seen like a wedding. Like
yeah, so we had a 50-person wedding reception here.
Yeah, that looked quite lovely.
Yeah, we've had a couple of live music events.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they concerts or more like dance rave parties? Like what kind
These were performances. It was I guess you would call it a band or a singer-songwriting duo that had released some music, and they were kind of doing their like an album release party.
Oh, okay.
Here, yeah.
Nice.
We've had square dancing.
What? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, I never expected that.
Yeah.
Is it
in the event space?
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool.
And then we have a weekly co-working event for people that are interested in working on the Solana blockchain. So we've got
crypto.
Yeah, we've had some Bitcoin meetups. I mean, I'm very big into Bitcoin, and
yeah, so trendy. Everyone I know is
it's
investing.
trendy now, but when I ended up leaving the financial world, part of it was because I wasn't allowed to talk to clients about Bitcoin. Right. So I'm making recommendations for what people should do with their money. In my head, I'm just like, you should really just buy Bitcoin. if I looked at any of the portfolios that I put people into when I was a financial advisor,
I bank with Coast Capital, and when I wanted to set up my crypto.com, like just to transfer money to them,
they wouldn't let you do it.
They wouldn't let me. So I had to set it up in CIBC so that I could send money and set up that account.
So this is what I mean, right? Is the traditional financial industry
very anti-crypto.
Is very anti-crypto, and I was told that I'd be putting my licensing at risk. And putting my career at risk if I even talked about crypto with people.
Really?
Yeah. So in the end, I left.
So you're a rebel. You rebelled against.
I mean, it was
a
a combination of the effect that having in-person meetings no longer a thing. Like we weren't even allowed to go into the office. You know what I mean? So everything was Zoom. All of the meetings with my team, all the meetings with the management, any meetings with clients, 100% virtual.
Painful.
Yeah. So that was like the initial push, and the fact that I couldn't do anything with crypto was kind of like the nail in the coffin for that for me. So FriendsQuarters does accept Bitcoin as a method of payment.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm very involved in that, and it's one of the things that my I don't know if you have a phone call coming in. I don't know if that's going to affect it or not.
No, we can continue.
Okay. Cool. So we do have crypto events. They'll happen from time to time. Different types of corporate events. So like leadership training and workshops and seminars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And networking events?
Networking events, yeah, for sure. We've got a coffee rave coming up this Saturday.
That's exciting.
Right, yeah. And then
you said there was like poker. Didn't you say there was like a poker tournament?
We did have a poker tournament one night as well, yeah.
Okay. So it's quite diverse. There's all kinds of things that can happen here.
There's many things that can happen here, and we're excited to hear from people about what their ideas are for how they might use the space. But at the end of the day, the rentals and stuff that we do for third parties, people want to come in and rent the space for things. We're doing that right now because it's still early and we don't have it filled with members. But the idea is eventually that we don't do that anymore.
Oh, okay.
Right? And maybe at that point we would, there's another space nearby that we have access to, and maybe we would get that, and that would be for rentals. But the idea is that we want the membership to have access to the space and the membership to have use of the space.
Right.
And so our focus is on memberships. And so while we're in this building phase, we've still got some work to do in the atrium. We're going to be putting a new deck in. We've got a couple walls that we want to put in and stuff like that. So it's still in the very, like this. We just moved into this space in April. So it takes a while to get everything in place that you want. And so for now, we're offering memberships at $55 a month,
which is so affordable.
Right? Everybody I tell this to, we've done zero.
That's like three coffees.
Yeah, we've done zero marketing on this, but everybody that I do talk to is just like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
To be able to come in and have your own access to your own space downtown that you can use as your base of operations. The cost that it will eventually be is $111 a month. Right, so this is just as we're building, because we know that all of the programming isn't in place yet, all of the walls aren't in place yet, and everything's still a little bit new.
And the tiki bar is not in yet.
The tiki bar is not in yet, and and the full setup that we have isn't quite there yet. So we recognize that people are early adopters that are coming in now, and these are people that like really see the vision and want to help us achieve that vision. So we want to reward those people that are willing to jump in early, and so that 55 the early adopter rate, right? And that $55 a month, you're locked in at that. As long as you don't cancel your membership, when we raise it to $111, we're only selling 111 of these $55 a month memberships. So it's either once all the renos are done or once we hit 111, whatever comes first, then the next 111 are going to go for 111, and then it'll go to 222 because there's only a certain number of members that we can have in this space,
Absolutely.
right? And then once we open up a new space somewhere, then we'll start that process over again. They're going to be inexpensive memberships for people, but people will be able to go back and forth between the two spaces.
So the perk is always to adopt early.
Get in early in there because like you will want to be part of this space at one point. It's just a matter of what's the price point going to be when you decide to come in. And you can wait if you want to, and that's fine, right? Because it'll be worth it, right? Where the value is always going to be there for what we're offering.
Speaking of value, I mean, as a financial advisor and having been in the financial world for so long, you know, I think as small business owners, especially in this very particular time where it seems like the inflation is going through the roof and people are really concerned and they're scared, you know, they talk about the onset of depression or just like politically, there's so much instability in the world, in the US, you know, which is right next to us with tariff and all, you know, what would you say your biggest advice about managing money or managing finances? Any financial advice for the general public?
I mean, you know, obviously I'm not a financial advisor anymore, so anything that I say is my own opinion. But yeah, there's a couple things for sure. One of those things is don't believe everything that you hear and that you read. So I see a lot of people that are like seemingly like very scared, very upset. Oh, like all these terrible things are happening in the world. And it's like all of the things that we know about the world come in through other sources. And all of those sources have a narrative and have an agenda and have a spin. And to me, like, unless I've seen it with my own eyes, you know, especially now with AI and the ability to like doctor photos and videos,
so
like
propaganda.
You can have any narrative that you want out there, and I've seen it from both sides, right? Like I have friends that are like really into the conspiracy theories and everything, and I'm always like, yeah, but the people that are showing that content have an agenda as well. Like I get it that the mainstream media has an agenda, but so do these guys. Everybody does.
Right.
And so, yeah,
So use your discernment in this
yeah, I
crazy
mean, like
world.
if you're really feeling afraid of the world, maybe it's time to go out and see some of it and see if it's like I can
with
say
your own eyes.
I've heard of people like taking a trip, you know, like for example, I went to the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas, and I've heard about people getting like kind of shade thrown at them on social media because they're going to the States. Like people are like boycotting the state, like don't go there at all, right? And I get it, you might not like the administration or the policies or whatever's going on in
crypto?
there. I'm just saying, like, just in general, because Trump.
Okay.
Just you know what I mean? Just all the stuff that's going on there. Again, the stuff that we hear about in the news that's being like put out like crazy, but some of the stuff actually hasn't changed from before. We just hear more about it. So we think that all these things are going on, but I can say, like, from having gone down there, like, it's still the same people. It's still the same country.
Right.
Right?
Nothing has changed.
And most of those people are just like us.
Right.
In fact, it's true anywhere in the world. Like, people they're good-hearted, kind people trying to do their best in life to bring health and happiness to them and their families.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like whenever we look at a place like a country like the US with 300 million people and paint them with a brush of like, that's going to shit, that's terrible, I just think that we do ourselves an injustice and we end up feeling a certain kind of way based on something that we don't actually know is real. And especially if you're allowing that to impact your business. Like, I get it, we gotta kind of like watch the news and like stay abreast of world events because they might impact our business. Maybe your business involves US trade and these tariffs are very real. You see them on your invoices. I get that, right? But to make that mean that society is going downhill, I should probably divest from this industry because these bad things are gonna happen. Every generation has its bad things.
Because, you know, most of the information, it doesn't even have to be news, just updates or how we get new information is fear-based. So in fear, we make these drastic, you know, decisions in these broad strokes. So.
And I find for myself, like whenever I follow my intuition, you know, whenever I've got a really strong gut feeling that I follow, it always works out for me. And whenever I don't follow that gut instinct, I'm always like, I knew it, right? And so, you know, follow your gut, trust your own instincts as opposed to what the media or, you know, other people are telling you. Obviously, you know, it's good to have mentors and it's good to get advice, but at the end of the day, you know yourself and you know your own business much better than other people do. So, you know, follow your gut.
Well, I feel like a lot of people are lost, you know, whether about their career, about their business, you know, a lot of people are in transition or limbo. Do you have any advice? Like, for example, to a younger self, if you were fresh out of university, ready to have your first job or first business, any advice or life wisdom you would like to share with your younger self, let's say at age 22, 23?
Yeah, the thing that comes up for me is like, I wouldn't want him to do anything different.
Oh, okay. So have more faith in himself?
Like I think it's really easy to like look back on our life and be like, oh yeah, if I could go back to my younger self, I would have said like, you know, buy Apple stock or something
Tesla stock.
Right? Yeah, something that I think would have made my life better. But at the end of the day, like I had to go through all of those ups and downs and challenges and stuff like that. So
to become who you are today.
Yeah, right. And again, maybe I could have become who I am earlier, and I'd be even happier than I am right now. But I don't know that that's the case. So I think for a young person to try and like, I don't know, like make their life better. I think the advice is like your life is already perfect. It's just.
You mean you're maybe you are enough?
Yeah, it's like maybe you're just not looking at it through the right lens, you know. And I think for me, it really helps quite often to remember like the whatever situation I'm in. Just like living in Canada, I'm better off than 90% of the world, just like automatically, right? Like the poorest person in Canada is still better off than the richest person in the world 200 years ago.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like as just
maybe
a
1,000 years ago. Doesn't even be 200 years.
Well, yeah.
People in the Middle Ages, even the kings, they didn't have toilets.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean about 200 years ago. You don't have to go back 1,000 years. It's only 200 years ago.
Oh,
they didn't have their homes weren't heated all the way through everywhere.
Right.
Like a servant had to go in and start a fire for you in your room about an hour before you wanted to go in there. You know what I mean? And even still, you'd go in there and it'd be cold in the corners.
Yeah, I'm always shocked when I watch these period films and they're just throwing shit out the window. I'm like, this is what happened in France?
And that's,
like in the morning, just threw it out into the streets.
That's what you dealt with. Exactly, right? Or go to the store and buy bananas any time of year. We didn't even have that when I was a kid.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Also, it's only a summer fruit.
Or a couple times a year or something. Like they've really perfected their ability, like strawberries, watermelons, all these things that we have all year long. Right? So we really are in.
We're so fortunate.
It's like the best version of the world that we've ever had, and it's here right now. And unfortunately, a lot of us are missing it because we're just staring at our screens.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That is so true.
And so,
that is so true.
I think if you are feeling depressed and you think it's because of the world, I think you have to look in the mirror first and be like, am I doing all the things that I need to do to not be depressed, or am I just feeling a certain kind of way and blaming it on the world? Right? And I think like
or blame it on your parents, or blame it on
like my life didn't start getting better until I started they call it pulling the thumbs. Right? Like really like taking responsibility for the challenges
or accountability.
Yeah. And I'm still capable of pointing the finger at someone else and dodging responsibility. But I feel that now. It feels like a lack of integrity, and so I won't do it.
Don't have enough self-confidence in their own decisions. Hence, they look to mentors or elders Because I remember when I was in my 20s, I was so brainwashed by Robert Kiyosaki and all these, who I thought were successful. So I would get all their books and attend the seminars and, really copy. They're like, oh, get a money jar. You gotta save blah, blah, blah percentage of your income, have multiple jars. And so I did all that because I was like, oh, well, they made it. It's gotta be right. And then years later, I find out Robert Kiyosaki never made money in real estate. He made money selling those books. And there was never a rich dad. So the whole thing was a scam. I'm like, wow. But that took 20 years to realize that,
Yeah, and I think that it's like you said, how can you have self-confidence if you don't know yourself?
Right.
Right? I think that it's not that people have like poor self-esteem, they just have poor self-awareness. Right? Because I think if we really understood exactly who we are and what we mean to the universe, you never have low self-esteem.
Well, look at babies. So, they don't have the self-esteem issues.
Exactly. So I think it does take time, like you said. Like you're gonna reach out and you're gonna like grab information from different sources, and some of it's gonna land, and some of it's not going to land. And over time, I think that helps you decide who you are and who you want to be, and that's where your self-confidence comes from. Once you start reflecting that back to the world and seeing good results, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Dean, let me ask you, if you're 100% financially free, if you had, who knows, $100 billion in your account right now, what would you be and what would you be doing?
Probably not anything different than what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're living your perfect life right now, with or without the money.
I heard this definition. I can't remember if it was a YouTube video or a TV show or something I was watching, and someone said the definition of rich, right? They said that you can define yourself as rich if your life wouldn't be any different with more money, right? And so I'm not rich yet, because there would be more travel in my life and stuff like that. I wouldn't be like, oh, should I do that because of the money? Like that, it would just be like, yeah, I want to go do that thing and I go do it. But I'm pretty much there now in a lot of ways, right? There's not a lot of things that I say no to doing because of money. I might say no to doing it because of the time it's going to take away from what I'm doing here. And I really believe in what I'm doing here, and I want to continue doing more of it. I think it's something that the world needs.
In the business community, or just society in general, like, the Western world, we worship rich people. We put them on the cover of magazines and we worship them like modern gods. But, when I actually met wealthy people, some of them live happy life, but some of them live miserable lives. And their kids have issues. They all have therapists and, and addiction or other issues. So it's not perfect. I think everyone has issues.
I think most people are familiar with the study now that says like up to about $85,000, the more money you make, the happier you are, right? But after that $85,000 a year threshold, it still continues to go up, but smaller increments.
So it's not like a
because you think about like if you're making $25,000 a year and all of a sudden you're making $50,000, like that makes a big difference in your quality of life, and it's bound to improve your happiness.
Right.
But at the top of that list is probably not.
I just think it's sad that we use money as what do you call it? Like a measurement, as a measurement for wealth. Like when I think of abundance, I think of friendship. I think of, like the social network. Like to me, there are a lot more other, like, the country Bhutan, they're called the happiest country in the world, but they're actually incredibly, poor. But I think they're 100% Buddhist and in a very remote part of the world, right? But they're incredibly happy. So, and I remember an ex-boss of mine, he went to India to look, to set up like a call center for the tech company he led. And he was saying he, went to India and Philippines and met families that were literally living in the slums, like kids like going through garbage piles, picking up. And he was saying they had the most beautiful, happiest smiles. I'm like, they're living out of garbage. How could they be happy? He's like, they don't know any different, but they're happy. They have very tight family units, and the kids and the parents are always together. You know, it's very, very tight, and they don't need a lot to be happy. I was like, wow, like it completely blew my mind as to the definition of happiness and the definition of human satisfaction. I'm like, what do we need money for? It's so to be happy, but they already are happy, so.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that we need money to be happy beyond a certain point, right? So like if you have no money,
right,
it's hard to be happy.
Right.
Because
you need necessities.
Yeah, you've got
like
the
a roof
necessities,
over your head.
right? Yeah. But I love those experiences of traveling to other places, and I had the same experience when I was in Mexico, and you just see people that, like, by our standards are incredibly poor, but still super happy. So it does remind us that chasing after wealth is not the same thing as chasing after happiness. Right? And like really we should like get our happiness game down, and then just allow the wealth and allow the expression of that to come in. Because I think once you have an abundance of joy, then other kinds of abundance of friends and abundance of wealth and an abundance of options and all the other abundances come in. But if you're just focused on the money itself, then you're probably going to get that at the expense of some of those other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you seem like a really passionate person. What inspires you lately?
Yeah, I mean,
Is it the development of the crypto world that we're in this kind of like transit from the traditional financial world to this new world?
Yeah, I definitely find this transition to be exciting. Like when you start seeing, countries getting into it and businesses putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
Really?
Yeah.
Countries?
Oh, yeah. I mean, El Salvador made Bitcoin its legal tender.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Like 3 years ago.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
it's been quite a while, and
cool.
the crime rate in that country has gone down, corruption has gone down, right? So there's a lot of benefits. So again, talking about advice for business owners, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is FriendsQuarters started accepting Bitcoin, and we don't sell it, right? So it comes in, and it's like forced savings. So this just goes off the side. It's on our balance. We're not converting things into Bitcoin. Just whatever Bitcoin we accept
all
stays.
Bitcoin or
Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There's no such thing as different.
Sorry.
Yeah, we only accept Bitcoin at this point.
No lithium, not other ones.
No Ethereum, no nothing. Just Bitcoin, but on the Lightning network. So we do have the ability to do that, and the Lightning network on Bitcoin is faster than Visa. Like it works.
Oh.
It works very. People say Bitcoin isn't a payment system, but the Lightning payment system has shown that it does work.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the idea that a business owner can have this asset just sitting there, growing and appreciating each year, faster than inflation is.
Right.
It's just one of those things that it just seems like a no-brainer.
Right.
There's probably tons of business owners out there that are sitting on piles of capital.
Fiat currency seems to be devaluing in every country.
Yeah, well, it's because they keep printing up more and more and more of it, and it's like you can't divide a pie into more pieces
and expend more of it.
You get smaller pieces. Like that's just what happens, right? You keep adding more money to the money supply, things have to get more expensive. That's just supply and demand. It will always work out that way. Bitcoin has a limited supply. Every 4 years, there's less of it being produced. That's why its price is going. Like, it's not actually that the price of Bitcoin is going up. There's a way of looking at it where it's actually Bitcoin's price is in comparison. It's actually measuring inflation. Right? And the reason why Bitcoin is worth so much is because everything else is so much more expensive because of monetary policy like quantitative easing.
So it's a moniker of what's happening.
It's kind of a barometer of the greater financial system. So Bitcoin's value is staying the same, other things are going up in comparison, right? And so eventually, there was a time where it would take, 1 million Bitcoin to buy a house.
So would you say?
And eventually, you'll be able to buy a house for 1 Bitcoin.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say we're at the precipice of history? You know how, the Industrial Revolution turned into sort of the information age. Do you feel like,
100%.
with the Like
100%.
the time period we're at, where we're in that transition to, I don't know what the next thing is.
Well, think about what the 90s were like for the internet, right? Everybody was like, I don't even know what to do with this thing, right? I got an email address. I didn't know anybody who had an email address. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this email address. Why doesn't someone just send me a fax? Like, that's literally how blind we were to what the internet would become, how ubiquitous it would become, and how deeply entrenched it is in all of our lives. And right now, we're blind to that with Bitcoin. We don't understand how an internet native payment system is going to infiltrate all the different aspects of what we do, right?
And blockchain, the whole blockchain.
Blockchain in general, for sure, like it is an invention on par with the internet, the printing press, or the internal combustion engine. Like, it's that much of a game changer, because up until now, every single transaction that anybody has when it comes to money has to go through a bank. Right? And the bank's sole purpose is to keep a ledger, right? You have $10,000, I have zero. You give me $5,000, the bank goes in and they says, okay, minus 5,000 from you, plus 5,000 to me. That's literally a bank's purpose, is to keep track of that. All the other stuff that they do is an add-on to that, but that's the purpose of the bank. It's a trusted third party that makes sure you don't spend your money twice, and I don't spend money I don't have, right? So what Satoshi Nakamoto, the mysterious person or persons who invented Bitcoin, what he did is he created a system where technology takes care of that.
Right.
It's just done through the process of the algorithm and having to solve these complex problems, which we call mining Bitcoin. That is the record of the transactions.
I see.
Everybody agrees on it. Okay, that goes into the record. I sent you $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. Done. We don't need a bank. And so since 2008, banks have been obsolete, but the world just hasn't caught up with it yet, right? Just like newspapers were obsolete, and brick and mortar stores were obsolete the day that the internet became, a thing. But it just took, 20, 30 years for the world to catch up to it. But because technology is moving so faster, it's so much faster, it's not going to take that long for the effects of Bitcoin to really have an impact. So,
I feel like it's not just the financial system, it's the oncoming of AI and robots replacing human workers. I think there's just so much change.
There's many things all culminating.
Replacing, one technology replacing
What are you going to do when you don't have to work anymore? When the robots are just going to take over everything, and you don't have to work?
I think it's a huge opportunity for human potential.
Totally. There's so many people that are pessimistic about this and think that people are just going to be lazy and lie around all day and play, video games. And I'm sure there'll be a percentage that does that, but I also think it could be an age of enlightenment where people are actually like, you mean I can finally record my album?
Yeah, the human renaissance.
I can just tap dance. I can just do the things I want to do.
Or do save the environment.
Yeah, go rescue rhinos and go do the things
revive dinosaurs.
Someone's going to do it for sure.
I think it's in the works. They have the DNA apparently. No, I think it would be glorious, because they say 80% of people don't like their job. They're doing it to get a paycheck.
Make money, yeah.
So if that is out of the equation, imagine all the passion projects that will come out of the woodworks.
Well, there's my advice right there. Stop doing that. If you're in a job that you hate, find a way to get out of it. It seems like such a no-brainer. Why would you want to spend 8 hours a day doing something you hate?
Well, now that you're a business owner, what do you think? Do you feel there's a big transition, or the pros and cons of a business owner? Because one of the cons is you're on 24/7. You know what I mean? Like when you had a job, you finish at 5, you go home.
I never really had those kind of jobs. I was
you're
always
a director, so you have more.
I was a director, and previous to that, I managed people, and I would just be getting phone calls all the time. So again, maybe I did a poor job of structuring my life to not be in that.
Balance.
Yeah, but so work-life balance is definitely very important to me right now. And as a business owner, I do take calls, all day and stuff like that. But then there's times where I just go dark. I'm just like, you're not going to be able to get a hold of me.
I think it's important to have those kind of boundaries, right?
Well, I do.
Or else you don't rest. You don't have time to rejuvenate.
I have children, and I want to be able to spend time with them. And I want to model a screen-free dad, so that they can also like see the value and the importance of that.
Are you concerned because your kids are teenagers? Like I can't even imagine, like when I was a teenager, I dealt with bullying, but I can't even imagine teenagers now. There's so much online bullying, all that kind of new problems that our generation didn't have.
I think there's always things to be concerned about, and I try not to be the type of person that like worries. I don't think it's a healthy pastime.
No.
But it's definitely
only gives you cortisol.
Right? It's definitely one of those things that when I think about the future, it's one of those things I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna have to figure this out at some point. I'm gonna have to like have a plan for how to deal with this, and it's already beginning. But
well, especially with the face swapping, have you heard? There are apps where they can, you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah.
It's scary.
But at the same time, I also recognize that like every generation had the same thing, right? Like my parents said, "You're rotting your brain with that TV," and we turned out okay. And the generation before that is, "You're rotting your brain with that radio." And
oh, really? They were scared of the radio?
I actually read an article from a newspaper back in the 1800s that said, the end of society is coming. It's this thing that's soon going to be in everybody's home, and it's going to wreck our world. It's called a Chesterfield.
What's a Chesterfield?
It's a sofa.
A sofa?
There's soon going to be one in every home in America.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
how is that going to wreck?
Well, because people are going to be sitting down. They're going to become lazy and yada, yada, yada. Who knows? Maybe they were right. Maybe sofas.
Couch potatoes?
Yeah, we've all become couch potatoes, and it's because of it. If we had just stopped at this Chesterfield.
That's the end of civilization because of a sofa? Wow, that's a tagline I've never heard.
Yeah.
I see. So parents will always have something to fear, every generation.
Yeah, and I think we do our best to limit our children's exposure to bad things, and we do our best to increase their exposure to good things, and we trust that they're going to find that happy medium, and they're going to be healthy, well-adjusted kids.
So you believe in letting them loose and let them fall on their face and gain that life experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not exactly what people call a helicopter parent. Yeah.
You're the opposite of the
Not all the way to the opposite, but yeah, I try and have a balance.
Okay. Because, Russian kids, they wear like little underwears, and the kindergarten teachers like go outside in the, blizzards of Russia. And I was like, how old?
That's how you make them tough.
And they're so happy. They're just like jumping around, playing the snow. I'm like, that would never happen in China, like ever. Or maybe most of Asia.
Well, I'll tell you though, you send a bunch of Chinese kids out in the underwear to play in the snow, they'll have a good time. They'll be very happy.
Well, yeah, if from age 0 they started that,
Exactly, yeah.
So you think
not by the time they're 15, they're like, that's cold, no thank you.
Speaking of which, I did, what do you call it? The water...
Lazy river?
No. When you paddle in those...
whitewater rafting?
Whitewater rafting. So I met an Australian guide, and he was saying the week before, he had some high school kids from China, and he was saying they knew nothing. Like, they've never really been outside of the city. So that was like a brand new experience, and he's like, I was so tired, because he was the only one who knew how to do it. Like, he taught them, but they're just like, what are we doing? I'm like, they've probably never seen a river.
No kidding.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're so protected and so city focused.
He should just be happy they all made it back.
Yeah. Right? No, he lost some along the way. He fished them out. He lost 2.
When I went whitewater rafting, we lost our guide.
Oh, really?
Fell out of the boat, yeah.
Oh, no.
So apparently that means he has to buy drinks for all the other guides.
Oh, really?
If you lose your boat. We stayed in, but he didn't.
Wow. Yeah, the rapids. That was a good time. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything you would like to share with our members? Any last partake wisdom that you want to share with our Social Butterfly Club members?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, and for anybody who's watching this video, if you made it this long, congratulations. You're our kind of people. Come by and visit FriendsQuarters. Just say you're a friend of Alice, and can have a free day as a member here, or a free drink at one of our events.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to visit the Tokyo or London or Paris edition of Friends Quarters.
I think Melbourne will be the first one outside of Canada.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
How come?
Because Jordan spent a lot of time there.
Oh,
and has some friends there, and would be able to
lovely.
facilitate that easily because we
I
already have
see.
friends.
Oh, perfect.
It's easier to start a friends quarters in a city that you have
already
friends.
have friends and connections,
Right?
of course.
But yeah, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal.
Okay. So all the
gonna be one on
major
Vancouver Island.
cities
Yeah.
in Canada first. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah,
So,
it's not going to be this year, so.
right.
Or who knows, maybe it will. If any investors out there that love the idea and want to reach out to us and make it happen this year, I'm in.
So tell people your website. That way people can find you. How
Yeah,
can they find you?
www.friendsquarters.com. We're on Instagram at FriendsQuarters. We're on Facebook at FriendsQuarters. And yeah, always.
And the address here is?
Address is 116 West Hastings. We're
Not East Hastings, West Hastings.
West Hastings, not East. It's on Hastings in between Cambie and Abbott Street. And we've got a VIP sign in the window that stands for Visit in Person. If you see that sign lit up, it means we're here. The door is directly below that sign. Hit pound 200. Come on up and say hello.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.